Hello everyone, this is Demon Lord speaking. I want to wish you all a very happy holidays, as it's now just turned the new year, and I wanted to thank you all for the amazing year you guys all gave me and my channel. I have never had such a growth on my channel before, and I hope that it stays growing. I plan to reach 1,000 subscribers and start actually working with YouTube, but until then I am just forced to make small time. Also, I always read you guys' comments and I'm always taking feedback. Please enjoy this video, and I wish all of us a happy 2022. But right now, we are going back in time, about 10 years in time, to one of my childhood games that I love and that I have never seen again. Please enjoy.
Welcome to All Out War 2, the second coming.
All Out War 2, The Second Coming was a Doom 2 mod that featured a team versus team gameplay. It was based off Command & Conquer Renegade and had a lot of its theme pulled from the game. The objective of the game was to destroy the enemy base and achieve victory, but that's just the tip of it. All Out War had, in my opinion, a very impressive depth that was hidden by its casual yet extremely fun gameplay. The mod had enough features to be considered a whole different game than Doom, which is part of the reason I found it was a bit hated by the Doom community, but more on that later. It featured numerous classes all having their own strengths, weapons, and or mechanics. It featured a cache system that encouraged teamwork. All the buildings had their own bonus, and losing them would progressively make the team weaker, be it through actually cutting their income or by limiting the available classes. And speaking of classes, there were simple classes like the Gunman, with the bare minimum submachine gun and no armor, the Doom's classic double shotgunners that one-shot kill anyone unfortunate enough to get close to them, the good old sniper, the machine gunner, etc. It also features support classes like the Field Medic and Technical, the always necessary Type Junior Harvester that would mainly be used in the early game to rush a boost in the income, the Utility Guy that could make almost anything with full creative freedom, including base defenses, directly support the team with supplies, ammunition, specialized armor, medkits, weapons. Other important classes featured the Stealth Trooper that could turn invisible for infiltration and for assassinations, the Suicide Bomber that literally would just wear a bomb and rush at the enemy, screaming. It was very funny, very stupid. But that and many, many more. Not to mention all maps, which were a load of, by the way, all had at the middle a surprise pack that players could pick up. It would give the player or his team a random effect that they may use for their favor, or just bad luck like becoming a living bomb, having your weapons taken away. The list goes on and on and on. All Out War was maybe the most fun I've had while growing up in the 2010s. Although I believe that All Out War was a shy masterpiece with untapped competitive potential, not everyone would agree with me. All Out War wasn't exactly considered a fan favorite, mostly because of its big learning curve and slow pace. Well, slow for Doom standards at least. I've actually read while researching for this video that All-Out War wasn't even considered Doom by the community. It had nearly no form of team balancing, meaning all kinds of players would just join and take part in an All-Out War match. And while for me that was part of the fun, it didn't quite fit the taste of the community nor the amazing depth that went into the game. It didn't blow up simply because most players would rather play the quick Counter-Strike style rounds or the plain old Doom deathmatches. In All-Out War, it's a literal all-out war until one of the bases fall, which pulling off was easier said than done. 90% of All-Out War's matches would last about an hour. All of its buildings had a ton of HP, and unless a coordinated stealth group went in and attacked the building's weak points, which are called the Master Control Terminals, the most common answer was one or two technicians to just heal up the buildings with their repair guns for about less than a minute. And the building was up at full health again. The only way to one-shot a building was by placing a strike beacon in front of the MCT, which was not only extremely expensive but also had a global announcement with a 60-second cooldown.
Nuclear strike beacon deployed. Warning, nuclear strike approaching.
And could be easily disarmed by a technician.
Nuclear strike beacon disarmed.
And all of this is not considering that if a decent utility guy is on the team, you can forget infiltrating a building. There was a very little a stealth trooper could do to enter a base that was riddled with traps set by a good utility guy, and that for many was very frustrating, and understandably so. Still, usually the first building to be destroyed was the base's biggest defense mechanism, the Obelisk of Light. The Obelisk was a very powerful defense tower that could see any enemy on its line of sight, including stealth troopers by the way, and once the Obelisk spotted an enemy, it would start charging, producing a very distinctive sound that served not only as a warning of what's to come, it also served as an alert for the base that an enemy is nearby. A good stealth would need to hide from the Obelisk, as even one hit from it would leave you with not much health left, if not also alerting the enemy that you are there. So you viewer by now probably realize that depending on the map's geography and the utility guy at play, infiltrating a base ranges from very difficult to downright impossible, and this contributes massively to the long match times of All-Out War. However, All-Out War featured a mechanic that served as a way to end a seemingly infinite match: sudden death. By default, when the match hit 45 minutes, sudden death begins. Buildings could no longer be repaired, and every player death counts. By default, both teams would receive 75 lives, as well as a free strike beacon, which meant assaults mattered. And speaking of assault, there is one major mechanic of All-Out War that I still haven't even mentioned: War Mechs. War Mechs were massive power suits that ranged from an assault VTOL aircraft to titans that had tons of health and firepower. Some were weaker and faster, others were literally nuke-throwing juggernauts. The mechs were, from weaker to strongest, Orca, Raven, Wolverine, Tortoise, Mad Cat, Titan, and the Juggernaut. Mechs were created at the war factories, and destroying the war factory would prevent mechs from being purchased. Like I said, All-Out War had untapped competitive potential, because most of the matches were just casual, so you were just playing around. But All-Out War had such potential because it had infinite possibilities. And I believe that's a sad reason, or rather, that's a sad thing to remember, because All Out War could have been much more than what it was. And I really miss All Out War because there's no other game like it. But also, gaming is no longer what it used to be back in the day. I kinda went on a tangent there, but all I'm trying to say is that All Out War played much more like a casual team deathmatch than what I believe it was meant to be played, which was with strategy, communication, creative thinking. If that was not the way it was meant to be, it definitely allowed that. I have came up with ideas for reviving and fixing All Out War along the years, but I wasn't the only one. And I also like the programming knowledge and skill to pull it off. Moreover, this is not a please bring All Out War pledge. Although I love to see that, it is just more of a tribute to a game that I fondly remember giving me massive great times in my childhood. And also that goes along to Doom itself. Although Doom can still be played very easily and in single player, All Out War cannot. In fact, All Out War wasn't even quite able to function without at least 5 players on each team. But can you imagine esports with 20 players extracting the maximum of strategy and coordination in a game as big and as goofy as All Out War? I believe I'm allowed to dream about that, maybe someday. I think it goes with that saying that all good things eventually end, and this certainly isn't a new case in gaming. I know most of you watching probably don't know what All Out War was, but I hope I was able to show you a bit of my good old times. And hey, if you'd like to host All Out War matches like in some Discord group, that is definitely possible. All Out War still exists, it's just that I never found a full server again. But if you're up to, there's a Discord server or anything that I don't know about, we can definitely organize an All Out War match. That's easy. I could organize that with my friends, it's just that All Out War is kinda... it's not a game you can explain, much like League of Legends. It's not a game you can go out and explain. Like, you can sit and talk to someone how to play All Out War. You can, because the basic is like you get a class and you try to kill other players. But how do you do that? How do you destroy the enemy bases and so on? And it's much like League of Legends. It's, well, how do you win a match? Well, you get a champion and you have all the mechanics and items and blah blah blah. That's just why it's pretty hard to explain to someone how to play All Out War, because it's a pretty deep game. But well, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed making it. I tried to put it out on the January 1st because it was actually the day I made my first All Out War gameplay 8 years ago in 2014. But yeah, I don't have much of that time anymore, so here it is. But everyone, I hope you all enjoy, and I will see you next time. Please remember to like the video if you enjoyed it so far. Bye bye.